Hello everyone, welcome to my PHP tutorial. So in this tutorial you'll be going to look at what is PHP variable. So what is a variable? So as you know, in other programming languages like C language, Java scripting language, all these major languages are using this concept variables. So variables is just a memory location where you can store data and use it at the runtime. So for example, if you think like you have a glass container and you can put it water inside there and you can use it. So glass container is something what can equal to our variable. So variable is a glass container where you can have different elements, different values inside that glass, and then you can use it every time you want, and you can fill it and you can remove it. So that's a very basic understanding should have with the variables. So in each and every language, how they declare, how they initialize are slightly different. So when it's come to PHP, PHP doesn't have a declaration. So it has a straightforward initialization process. And also there's a one new thing that they use a representation symbol to understand what is a variable to the PHP language. So every time when you are working with the variable, you need to start your variable with that symbol. So then PHP will understand you are using a variable. So that symbol is a dollar symbol. So every time, again I am telling, every time when you are using the variable, you need to mention dollar symbol, and after that you need to mention your variable name. There are rules given for the variable name, or we normally say it's an identifier. So the rules for the identifiers are as follows. So the first rule, all variable names must start with $sign. So we already discussed that. And variable names are case sensitive. That means if you are initialize a variable with a lowercase, like in this example my underscore var, and if you initialize another variable with a uppercase, so then those two variables will be considered as two different variables in PHP. Some other languages are slightly different, so they are not case sensitive, so then both variables will be same variable. And the next thing is all variable names must start with a letter or a underscore. So that also very important. So you can start with the alphabetical character, that means A to Z characters, or else you can start with a underscore. So you can't use any other symbol to represent the first character in your variable name. And the next thing is you can't keep spaces in the variable name. So normally we use underscores to separate the terms in a variable name. And the next thing is you can have numbers inside the variable after the first character. So for this example, you can think about this first letter or the first number can be put it in at the end, at the middle, so that will be a valid variable. And the next thing is you are not supposed to use language reserve keyword, because those words or the keywords has a meaning for the PHP language. So if we are using those terms inside the variable, so that will be misleading our PHP language. So those are the set of rules that need to be followed when you are going to initialize a variable. So I'm going to do a quick demo using some variables, and how you're going to do some changes by using the variable. So for this example, I going to my code wrapper folder. So first thing is you need to start the Apache server. Once you do that, I have my codewrapper.com and I'll open my git bash to see what's the branch I'm working now. So you can see I'm working on the HTML branch, but I need to check out to the PHP branch. So then I'll type git check out PHP. You can see we have the data type PHP file and hello PHP file. So I'm going back to my code editor. Yeah, I can see those two files now. So I'll be creating a new file, a PHP file. Name this as variables.php. So I'll open my PHP code block and we say so I have variable to implement, that is student underscore name. I'll use this as fname. And then I have another variable student name. So I want to print them. So I use the echo keyword and the dollar student first name and concatenate put a space using the HTML entity and student last name. Right, so you can see now the student name got changed and it will be visible with the middle space as well. So if you think that this need to be, simply you can hard code the value in these locations, but that will be permanent solution. So if you think like you are getting this data from a form, so the client fill the first name and the last name and submit. So then what you need to do is you need to print this message. So we can add some more comment or greeting message with the first name and the last name. So in that case you can't have a hard code value because it's dynamically change whatever the value that user sent through the HTML form, that need to be processed in the PHP. So then you need the variable support. So you can hold that value inside the variable, and then you can pull it and show again in the browser. And also, if you think further, we can have numbers, right? So we'll say yeah. So in the age, we'll assume that you deduct it from the 2020. So then you can print that as well. So I'll can see age is 32. So likewise, we can have multiple variables running in this location, and then you can use it for different purposes. So the next important thing you need to remember is variables can hold one data at a time. So that means the year that I put it in here, I can again use the year variable and use a different value. So at this time, what will happen, line number 16, this variable value will be replaced by this new value, but that will be happen line number 23. Until this line execute, our year variable has 1988, but after line number 23 execution, I will be getting a different value. So I will use this age variable again. Now what happens, previous we have 32 added into this age variable. This time it will be deduct from 2020, and new value will be added into the age variable. Again the same thing happened, previous we had 32, now it will be modify or replace with the new value. So you can simply copy this and paste it here. So put a new line break. You can see now the new age variable is 22. So that's the most important thing that you should remember. Variable can hold only one value at a time, and if it is get replaced, the previous value you can't again collect it. It will be permanently removed from the variable. But until you replace, the current value will be live inside this variable. So that also something you need to be remember. And if you think about this example, so if I use dollar name, I'll use this as middle name, so use Praveen, and so sorry, I'll revert it back to middle name, and then right. So what do you think about the result of this? So in this case, dollar name. So when this process from the PHP, first it will be consider this second dollar sign onward, the variable name. So that is dollar name. So this variable is equal to line number 28. So then what happens, this middle name string will be append to here, then dollar middle name, that is equal to this variable. So then finally I should get the result Praveen. So if you run this, you can see I am getting the result Praveen. So hope you understood this double dollar scenario. So when you have multiple dollars, it will be starting from the left side, and then consider the first dollar it met, and then consider it as a separate variable, and look at if there are any variable available in the document. If that's so, it will replace the value to that location. So then after that, with that new value, it will move forward and see if there are any other variable. If that's so, then it will be try to catch up with this new variable, like what happens in this example. So I have completed the variable in high level, but we need to understand when we are working further and further in other lessons also, we need to get this variable concept in depth. And so this is a very initial level where you will understand how it works, but this will be more enough to work with the variable in PHP. So we'll commit this code. So status gitad right. So with that, I'm going to stop variable lesson, and we'll meet on another brand new lesson on PHP. So hope you all okay with this tutorial. So if you are having any trouble, so any issues, so comment in this video, so I'll be able to help you. And if not, you can personally contact me, so then I can support you. So then I am stopping this video. Thank you for watching us.